Hello students, welcome to ePathshala. I am Amitav Dwivedi, Associate Professor of Public Administration in DAV College, Chandigarh. Finance Commission is considered to be very important in any federal setup. This is because of its crucial role in the devolution of funds, without which the whole idea of federalism will remain a distant dream. This is because finance is considered to be one of the main sources of any conflict, and if there is any ambiguity in the distribution of finances, there will always remain a possibility of conflict in center-state relationship. The Constitution of India has provided for a finance commission. In the present discussion, we are going to discuss its composition, functions and role. The main objectives of this module is to know about the creation of Finance Commission, to know about the members of Finance Commission and the functions of Finance Commission of India. The need for the Finance Commission was felt by the British government for guiding its finances. The genesis of the modern Finance Commission was laid down during early 1920s during the colonial rule in India. After independence, provisions were made in the Constitution under Article 280 to make it as constitutional entity, and the first Finance Commission was established in the year 1951. Creation of the Finance Commission. According to Article 280, Subclause 1 of the Constitution, the President shall, within 2 years from the commencement of this Constitution and thereafter at the expiration of every 5th year or at such earlier time as the President considers necessary, by order, constitute a Finance Commission which shall consist of a chairman and 4 other members to be appointed by the President. Accordingly, the Parliament enacted the Finance Commission Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1951 for the constitution of the Finance Commission. Qualification for the members of the Commission. Chairman. He shall be selected from amongst the persons who have had experience in public affairs. Apart from the chairman, there will be 4 other members who must possess one of the qualifications mentioned below. Number 1, have been judges or are qualified to be appointed as judges of a high court, or have special knowledge of the finances and accounts of the government, or have had wide experience in financial matters and in administration, or have special knowledge of economics. Other conditions of eligibility. Section 4 of the Act provides that President shall satisfy himself that the member will have no such financial or other interest as is likely to affect prejudicially to his function as a member of the Commission. This section also empowers the President to ask the member to furnish any such information which is necessary and is required for performing his duties entrusted under this section. Disqualifications. Besides this, the Parliament has made a provision to disqualify a person to be appointed as a member, and after being a member of the Commission, if he is of unsound mind, if he is an undischarged insolvent, if he has been convicted of an offence involving moral turpitude, if he has such financial or other interests as is likely to affect prejudicially his functions as a member of the Commission. Terms of office, service conditions of chairman and members. The chairman and the members are entitled to hold office as specified in the presidential order appointing him as chairman or member of the Commission. The chairman and the members are eligible for reappointment provided he may by letter addressed to the President resign his office. None of the chairmen has been reappointed so far. However, some of the members were reappointed as chairman or members of subsequent commissions. Further, the members appointed are either whole-time or part-time as specified in the orders of the President. Functions of the Commission. Article 280, subclause 3 envisages it shall be the duty of the Commission to make recommendations to the President as to the distribution between the Union and the states of the net proceeds of taxes which are to be or may be divided between them, and the allocation between the states of the respective share of such proceeds. The principles which should govern the grants in aid of the revenues of the states out of the Consolidated Fund of India. The measures needed to augment the Consolidated Fund of State to supplement the resources of the panchayats, municipalities in the state on the basis of recommendations made by the Finance Commission of the state. Any other matter referred to the Commission by the President in the interest of sound finance. Procedure and powers of the Commission. The Act provides that the Commission is endowed with all the powers of a civil court under Code of Civil Procedure 1908 in respect of the following matters. Number 1. Summoning and enforcing the attendance of witness. Number 2. Requiring the production of any document. And number 3. Requisitioning any public record from any court or office. The Commission is also empowered by the Act to require any person to furnish information on such points or matters as in the opinion of the Commission may be useful for or relevant to any matter under the consideration of the Commission. The jurisdiction of powers is whole of the territory of India. Terms of reference. The Finance Commission is constituted with specific terms of reference normally decided at the time of its appointment. But additional functions or matters may also be entrusted to it by the President, and that has been followed many times by the government. For example, the term of reference is for the 14th Finance Commission constituted on 2nd February 2013 in para 4 of the notification states, the Commission shall make recommendations as to the following matters, namely, the distribution between the Union and the states of the net proceeds of taxes which are to be or may be divided between them under Chapter 1, Part 12 of the Constitution, and the allocation between the states of the respective shares of such proceeds. The principles which should govern the grants in aid of the revenues of the states out of the Consolidated Fund of India, and the sums to be paid to the states which are in need of assistance by way of grants in aid of their revenues under Article 275 of the Constitution for purposes other than those specified in provisos to Clause 1 of that article. The measures needed to augment the Consolidated Fund of a state to supplement the resources of the panchayat and municipalities in the state on the basis of the recommendations made by the Finance Commission of the state. Role and working of the Finance Commission. Prepares a federal finance scheme. The Finance Commission prepares a federal finance scheme basically to serve two broad purposes. Number 1, augmenting the state's own limited resources from the surpluses of the Union, and number 2, to ensure the transfer of funds in such a manner so as to assist adequately the states with comparatively less capacity to raise resources. Finance Commission performs the role of recommending distribution of financial resources on rational and need basis so as to ensure equitable development and preventing disparities in the country, and termed it as integrated view of finance of union and states. Steps in determining transfer of funds. The Commission follows the following steps in determining the transfer of funds or devolutions to be made from the divisible pool. First of all, the Finance Commission determines the size of devolutions based on broad consideration of needs of the states and available surpluses funds with the Union. Second, an assessment of the fair costs of revenue receipts and expenditure of the state is considered based on revenue resources of the previous year's level of taxation and their requirement of expenditure on revenue account. Third, a broad assessment of the shortfall in state's revenue resource is undertaken by the Commission. Fourth, the Commission determines how far this requirement should be covered by devolution of taxes and grants under Article 275. And fifth, while making recommendations for devolution of financial resources of the state, the Commission addresses the question of determining the size of devolution on a broad consideration of needs of the states and available surplus funds with the Union. Important principles or considerations adopted by various finance commissions for recommending devolution of funds to states. Taxes under Article 269 are levied by the Government of India largely for the sake of uniformity and convenience, and they are therefore distributed between states on the basis of their origin. Article 270 provides for compulsory sharing of taxes between union and states, and their distribution has to be made among all the states in which they are leviable in conformity with suitable principles devised for the purpose. Article 272 provides for sharing of union excise duties which were to be paid from the Consolidated Fund of India, but the 10th Finance Commission provided for sharing of proceeds of all union taxes and duties with states except the central sales tax, consignment tax, surcharge on central taxes and earmarked cesses. The first Finance Commission had also suggested that the budgetary needs should be the starting point for determining the assistance required by the states. However, the Second Finance Commission observed that the needs disclosed should be adjusted with the following considerations. Budgets of the state be made comparable by incorporating abnormal, unusual, and non-reusing items of revenue and expenditure. Due allowance for clear cases of failure of states to maximize tax efforts. States endeavor to secure reasonable economies in expenditure. Lower standards of social service in a state be considered as qualifying condition for special assistance. Special disabilities due to abnormal conditions and beyond state's control required to be suitably compensated. And grants for the advance of broad purposes of national importance like primary education to states which are backward on that count be given. In transferring resources from the center to the states, the Finance Commission have been largely guided by the consideration that in our vast country, people needs can be effectively attended to only by the agencies close to them and in the functioning of which they are fully involved. The quantum of physical transfer is assessed on the availability of resources and expenditure requirements of the center and the states, obviously on the basis of certain principles and norms. After deciding it, the Commission decides the vertical and horizontal devolution of taxes. The Finance Commission have adopted a normative approach, which means the assessment of resources available and expenditure commitments forecast by different government entities is undertaken. The estimate of overall resource envelope available to general government, which includes gross revenue receipts of the Government of India and state government, and the desired roadmap for fiscal consolidation is undertaken. The 13th Finance Commission has taken the following four principles for the fiscal transfer to the states. These are: it attempted to ensure symmetry between the center and states and applied a normative discipline for both center and the states. The Commission has accorded equal treatment in the sense that it has not accorded automatic priority to any level of government and concerned with equalization, not equity. In other words, the principle does not guarantee uniformity in public services across the country, but addresses the physical requirements of each jurisdiction to enable such uniformity. The public services rendered to citizens should not only have or address of the concern for uniformity, but also should have a definite level of predictability. It means that the fiscal transfer to the states should be made in such a way so that the said public services should not be negatively impacted by uncertainties and or vitalities regarding resource flows. There is a complex set of intergovernmental institutional framework in India, and the institutions like Planning Commission, Finance Department, Planning Boards of different states, State Finance Commissions, the Judiciary and the Legislature, in addition to Finance Commission, constitute this kind of arrangement for determining the mobilization and allocation of public resources. Yet, the 13th Finance Commission also sought to maintain incentive component with the devolution formula. Principles governing the design of grants. The amount of grants in aid provided to the states by different finance commissions have been under constitutional obligation of the Union Government as per Article 273 subclause 1 and 275 subclause 1. There are other kinds of grants which have been given to the states, and these are: number 1, grants for reducing disparities in the availability of various administrative and social services across states. Number 2, grants to meet special financial burdens emerging as a result of a peculiar condition in certain specific states. And number 3, grants to provide resources to specific activities considered to be national priorities. Article 280 subclause 3 subclause B and Article 275 entrust the duty to the Finance Commission to make recommendation the principles which should govern the grants in aid and specific sums to be paid to the states which are assessed to be in need of assistance. The 7th Finance Commission laid down the following principles for grants in aid under Article 275. Number 1, it should be given to enable states to cover up their fiscal gaps left after devolution of taxes and duties, to enable them to maintain the levels of existing services. Due consideration is required to be given to the state for its tax efforts. Economy in expenditure consistent with efficiency and prudent management of public sector enterprises. Grant in aid may be made as correctives to narrow down disparities among states in terms of the availability of administrative and social services. The objection is to extend services to all citizens with certain basic national minimum standards of such services. Grant in aid may also be given to the individual states to enable them to meet special burdens on their finances because of their peculiar circumstances on matters of national concern. The 13th Finance Commission has observed that the grants can also be given to the states to reduce disparities in the availability of various administrative and social services across states. Number 2, allow particular states to meet special financial burdens emerging as a result of their peculiar circumstances. And third, to provide resources for specific activities considered to be national priorities. It also states that the objectives of extending grants need to be: number 1, to ensure additionality of resources, that is, the overall result of the grant should be to reduce the deficit in resources to provide public goods. Number 2, to improve transparency and accountability and enabling a feedback route in improving policy formulation and implementation. Number 3, to assist in better monitoring of expenditure by providing incentives to performance or prescribing conditions for extending grants. Resources of local bodies. The Constitution Amendment 73 and 74 has entrusted the duty to take measures to augment the consolidated fund of a state to supplement the resources of panchayats and municipalities in the state on the basis of recommendations made by the Finance Commission of the state. The provisions inserted by amendments had become effective before 10th Finance Commission finalized its report. Therefore, the Commission is obliged to make recommendations regarding measures to augment the consolidated fund of states for this purpose, although it was not in terms of references. To conclude, we can say that Finance Commission of India is playing a very important and crucial role in the devolution of funds. However, its functioning is not free from criticism. The states, especially those ruled by parties other than the party in power at the center, are quite vocal in their criticism. They say that the Commission adopts a partial approach in the distribution of funds, not only between center and the states, but also between the states ruled by party in power at the center and the opposition parties. There is no denying the fact that there are certain ambiguities in the Commission. For example, many times a person of non-finance background is appointed as the chairperson, which is reflected in its report. So, it is suggested that there is a need to enlarge the functioning of the Commission by including all the transfers in its purview. Furthermore, it is also suggested that it should be made a permanent body so that it develops interlinkages with planning bodies, and also to enable it to carry out its own studies and to maintain operational continuity. Thank you.